You're hosting, Mr. Brady, not me. You're the host tonight.
Now he tells me. Yeah, sorry about that.
I told you beforehand. I told you before.
I was just psyching myself up, you know. Psyching myself up. Anyway,
you're like
evening,
a heavyweight fighter.
Never mind that fella next to me there. He's always causing trouble. Welcome to Thfc Till I Die, the home of Spurs, past, present, and you could fit an elephant down through Dermot's mouth there the way he's laughing. And anyway, we hope that a good future for Tottenham, obviously, after Saturday. So tonight, this is a little bit different. It's our second Premier League review show. And that's a strong-looking vodka you got there, Dermot. And joining me tonight is, I don't know, I just can't read his name. Actually, Dermotron. He's changed his name since 5 o'clock this evening.
I spelled it wrong.
Spelled it wrong. And also joining us from England, Manchester, north of England, around that area, is FTSN Colm from Full-Time Sports Network. And Colm is becoming a regular contributor to our channel. So welcome to you, Colm. And soft welcome to you, Dermot. I'll sort of begrudgingly say welcome to you.
Yeah, begrudgingly say hello to you too, but never mind.
Say hello.
Anyway,
so anyway,
I tell you one thing. Can I just say, we do get on. Me and Philip get on famously well. It's just when we go on the stream, we're a bit like Morecambe and Weiss. He's the sensible one. I'm the loony one.
I don't know about that, but anyway. Yeah, so this is the Premier League review show of the week. Now, the last match of the weekend has just finished with a 1-0 victory to the Unmentionables from the other part of North London. They won with a penalty from Odegaard in the 54th minute. And they also had Tamiyasu sent off. One for his first booking was for taking 23 seconds to take a throw in. He got booked for it. 7 minutes later, he dragged back one of the Palace players, got a second yellow, and off he went. But Palace were not able to capitalise on the extra man, and the other lot went on to win 1-0. So anyway, Dermot, how are you this evening, my man?
Look, the elephant bit, I'm still giggling over it, and the vodka bit as well. Don't you start on that. No, look, I'm fine. I'm still buzzing after the weekend, Philip, to be fair. I'm still bouncing. Yeah. It's like,
good.
I don't know what it is. It's Tottenham suddenly. I said in Dave's channel tonight, it was like I was transported back to the early 1980s. That James Maddison was a bit like Glenn Hoddle with some of the stuff he was doing. Basuma was a bit like, I don't know, like a Mickey Hazard or Graham Roberts type of player, if you know what I mean. But Romero was like Paul Miller in defence, and we had Sonny a bit like a Tony Galvin running down that line. And then, of course, we were missing Archibald and Crooks. But did you get that feeling, that sort of 80s vibe from that team on second half against United, especially?
Well, the second, I don't know about the 80s vibe. I got a vibe of a team that playing football the way they want to play it, that they're enjoying playing it. Whereas last season, they looked like they'd like to be anywhere else but on that pitch for some of the games, some of the performances. So, yeah, I mean, there's certainly a vibe, there's a bounce about the club at the minute, you know. And I mean, you say you're floating. I'll say poor Colm. I'd say you feel like the air's been let out of your tires, haven't you, after that performance by United?
I feel like I'm watching Sunday League football with a hangover. That's what I feel like I'm doing right now. Oh, God. I feel like, honestly, I felt like I was watching a team full of Harry Maguires and Eric Dyers.
Boy, yeah, that is bad.
You leave our Eric Dyer alone. He's a fantastic player. He's going to Fulham, and sad to see him go. Really, any Fulham fans watching, I tell you, Philip will tell you, he's brilliant.
And any Fulham fan believing that, you're supporting the wrong team. Anyway, it's the transfer window now. We've 10 nights to go, 10 days to go. We've 10 days. This time Thursday, there'll be an hour left on it, Thursday week. So that's going to be very interesting to see if Eric Dyer actually still is a Tottenham player at that stage, But we're a bit light on the chat tonight, lads. Come on, somebody could stick in a few comments there. Tell us what you think about the Spurs performance.
We have one there.
We got one from Kev Williams saying, "Hi lads, hope you're all okay." Yeah, we're fine. We would have preferred Arsenal not to win tonight, but you can't have everything, And
hang on, should I bring up the results and we can start talking about them, Philip?
So, we'll go through the games.
Yeah. So
match day 2.
Yeah. So hang on. So go on. Sorry.
Forest 2, Sheffield United 1. Forest are making a decent fist of it. I think they'll be okay this season. I think I like their manager, Steve Cooper. I think he's a good manager, and they seem to be buying players from abroad. It seems to be that might just do enough to they don't struggle as much as they did last season. Sheffield United, I'm afraid, I'll nearly say they're doomed already. Sorry, Colin. I know you're Doncaster. You'd be delighted to see Sheffield Wednesday go down, or Sheffield United go down, wouldn't you?
Oh, nothing could bring me more enjoyment.
Right, okay. But only if Sheffield down as well. That'll give you double enjoyment.
Yeah.
Look, but they seem to be a Saudi club. Sorry, go on.
No, I'm just saying this was really an early 6-pointer, wasn't it, Philip? Really, if you think of it more logically, it was a real 6-pointer. And Forest have got the leg up on that one, I think.
Yeah, they have. Sheffield United are an unusual team. They've been owned by a Saudi person since 2013 or thereabouts, and yet they spent no money. And that kind of goes against the grain when you see the money that the Saudis are throwing around to bring all the players into their own league. Maybe this guy isn't quite on the same financial ladder as his compatriots at home, But anyway, it's a good win for Forest, and it'll give them a bit of confidence going forward. And it also raises the thing that we're supposed to be interested in Brandon Johnson. Now, my only worry about that is they're quoting the fee of 50 million, and there's no way he's worth that. Colin, what would you say? have you watched Brandon Johnson at all? Do you think he's worth anything near the 50 million mark?
I've seen him a couple of times. 50 million is a lot of money. A lot of money. I'd be more inclined to put him around the 20-25 million. I don't think he's proven enough to be a 50 million price tag player at all. I mean, who is really, worth 50 million? It's silly money when you think about it. But no, I think they're asking way too much. But that might be a tactic just to price him out of a move.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. Dermot, what do you reckon? Would you like him at Tottenham?
No, I said it on Dave's show earlier. No way. I don't want him anywhere near the club. I don't think he's good enough. I don't think I wouldn't even pay 25 million from Colin. I'd pay 10, 15 million for, in my opinion. Yeah. But I do feel
to agree with you.
Yeah, I don't know if you feel this, Philip, and also Colin, that transfer market's gone out of control. There's players that are not worth say 5 million are going for 10 to 15 million. It's just gone berserk.
It's crazy. It's crazy. That's what makes me think that we got a bargain. I know 40 million is a lot of money, but compared to what similar like players have gone for, we got a bargain in James Maddison. Because 105 million for Declan Rice, 115 million for Caicedo, and all he does is give away a penalty in his first touch of the ball, really. So, it's gone crazy. It's gone mad, and that's why Daniel Levy is right not to pay over the odds for a player. It might give out about him being tight, but he's right. He's only contributing to the problem if he pays those type of fees. And Kev Williams is also saying, I'm feeling anxious about the virtual full stop on transfers. We know we need at least a striker, so why have we not pulled the trigger on one? All I can say, Kevin, we are trying. We are trying, and I think there will be a new striker in before the end of the window. Who it's going to be is anybody's guess at this minute. It could be that Gift Orban. He seems to be the one that's the favourite. But again, the price is the problem there. And there are others in the frame, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. But we cannot rely on, rightly says in a way, we can't rely on Richarlison as a target striker for the rest of the season. And we can't wait until January until Ivan Toney it comes on the market, if he does. And even then, he's kind of indicated he wants to go to Arsenal. So some people have no taste.
Did I hear you right? You're agreeing with me on that?
Maybe in long term. Yeah, I do agree with you sometimes, you know.
I know.
And
it's quite a shock when it happens.
Neil Shafton is saying, come on, Rotherham United up the mill as Arsenal got lucky and beat Palace. I have to say, I didn't watch the match. It's against my religion to watch Arsenal play, so I just didn't watch them. But I will say, the bit I turned on the news, the bit I did see, their away shirts are absolutely horrendous. I'll tell you one thing, you see them coming in the dark night, they're bright, luminous yellow with like snakes running across them, you know? It's quite fitting, really, isn't it? Arsenal with snakes on their shirt. You know?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Anyway.
Anyway, and then we've got Kev Williams. He's talking to Neil. This here is a very interesting point, Philip. And I don't know what you want to. Where do you want to start that conversation on, Philip?
Well, Colin, you're probably closest to some of this than we are. Is it the influence of the foreign investors is causing the transfer market to go so high in price?
I mean, definitely this year. Obviously, with this new Saudi Arabia money that's coming in, it's definitely boosting up the price of a lot of players, because all somebody has to do is be linked to that that area, move to that league, and the price shoots up dramatically. A lot of it beforehand, I would put the blame. It might seem unfair, but this is where I put the blame. I put the blame on the current transfer market on Chelsea, because they made this transfer market the way it is. Back when, obviously, Roman Abramovich took over Chelsea, he raised the prices because he was throwing stupid money about, so everybody else raised their prices. And that's why we're where we are today. And obviously the Saudis have now come in and they're now throwing stupid money about. So it is definitely foreign investors that are raising the prices of players now.
Yeah. Dermot, do you think that Chelsea, I even see tonight now, I saw it on Sky, they're still looking at buying more players?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, my God, when are they going to stop?
Look,
Todd Bowley, he's like a child in a toy shop on Christmas Eve, buying everything he can lay his hands on.
Look, we never really criticised when Man City were buying the big players and spending the money, but they seem to be spending it smartly. Chelsea, you are right. It is like a kid in the candy store, but I agree with Colin. I think Chelsea, Manchester City, even your club, Man United, Colin, I know I don't mean to bring them in. Liverpool as well. I think the big 4 or 5 have polluted the transfer market by paying big money for these players. The likes of us and the rest of the league really can't match the likes of Man City, who are state-owned. Newcastle, state-owned. Manchester United, well, we know the problems they've now landed themselves in. Chelsea just get out of it, find every loophole going. So, look, I blame the big 5 for the way the transfer market is, but Chelsea have been like this under Abramovich, now under Tom Bowley. And nobody's done a thing about it. And nobody's done a thing about it since the start of the 2000s, of the noughties.
Well, I think UEFA are clamping down. They are clamping down now at the end of the season, all right.
But it's a bit like, Philip, the horse is bolted. You can't shut the door.
Oh, true. Yeah. But I don't think it's not. I think it's okay. It's as much the money Chelsea are spending. It's the amount of players they are buying. Like how much have they spent this window already? 500 million. I don't know the exact. I don't know the exact figure. It probably changed since we started the program.
They've signed another goalkeeper today from New England. I think that's put them back another 15 million. So I think we're looking somewhere around 550 million total spent so far.
My God, that's incredible. It really is. And they still can't put a team out based on the performance yesterday.
I'm just going to see how much Chelsea have actually spent this season. Here we go. I will tell. It's got to be around the 800 and something mark. Yeah. How much Chelsea?
Worse.
This is how much they have spent since Todd Bowley's take. Since he took over in 2022, transfer market projects. Chelsea had to have spent just over a rather frightening 800 million on players.
But they have got some back though. They have sold some players.
Yeah. Now
the net spend is probably around 550.
Now, at the moment, they've spent. Now, this is from Sky. This is from your favorite company, Sky Sports, Philip. But the 115 million arrival of Moses
Caicedo
saw Chelsea break the transfer record for the second time in 6 months, took the club spending under Tom Bowley to almost 900 million, a figure that has since increased with the confirmation of Roma Lava's 58 million. So by the end of this window, Chelsea should have spent eye-watering €1 billion.
Oh God. And they can still only put out 11 players and 5 substitutes, and they could put out 3 teams at the moment, the amount of players they've got on their books. I don't know. Most of those players now are going to end up getting loaned out before the end of the transfer window, because there's not enough space for them in any of the teams at Chelsea. It's crazy. I don't know what the policy is. I really, really don't. And I feel sorry for Pochettino. Well, no, I don't really, because he should never have gone there in the first place. No. And then Neil Shafton is saying, I can't comprehend how a young player will be okay to get a big pay rise, sit on the bench. The big teams are collecting the players to sit on the bench. Chelsea, they get a team in point. And
can I just make a point on that, Philip? And I don't know if Colin as well. You look at United over the years, Ferguson was there, brought all the youngsters through. He always made sure they never had over what they earned. Fergie was very frugal with his money at United. A bit like Bill Nick was when he was in charge, Philip, as you've told us time and again.
Yeah.
And we've said it like with Greenwood now and Mendy from Man City and a few other players as well. It's all too much too soon. Dele Alli had his other problems as well. So, Philip, if you look at football back when you were a young lad to football now, how much do you think has it changed from when you were a young lad standing on the terraces with your dad at Aston Villa up in Birmingham to going to like Tottenham Hotspur Stadium now? Do you sit there and think, bloody hell, this has just changed out of all? Your dad would not recognize it. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I'll tell you a story. The first game my old fella took me to, and then my father had a foot injury, a football injury sustained. He was a goalkeeper, and he sustained a very bad foot injury, and he couldn't stand up. So when he brought me to a match, he used to go into the stands, the sitting down part, and it costed I always remember 7 and 6 in old money, right, to get in, and he used to pick me up and hand me over through the turnstile, so I didn't have to pay. Now try doing that on the ground today. I think the police will be down on top of you. So it's changed in so much. Half time, people went and got their bovril and their pork pie or whatever it is now. Now they're going to lasagna and chicken curry. It's become a soccer match now, a football match now. It's become a day out, really. And the one thing that I've noticed in recent years, and the one that really, really annoys me, is the people that leave to go for their halftime drink about 10 minutes before halftime and come back 5 minutes late for the second half. They get up my nose completely. I cannot stand that. That didn't happen too much in the old days because you're on the terrace. You weren't pushing by someone to get past your seat. You just walked off and got it. So it's changed from that. It's become a more upmarket entertainment center, and the prices reflect that. So it's changed completely. Absolutely. There's no joke. The only thing that's the same thing is 11 players on the pitch, a ball, and 2 goal posts, and that's about it. Everything else has changed.
I think, Colin, I don't know with you, but on this, but I don't know how you feel, but I feel jealous that Philip spent probably when football was the better time for football. Do you know what I mean? When there was no fighting, there was no hooliganism. It was just
there was.
everyone.
There was.
Was there?
There was.
Was there?
Oh God, yeah.
Even in the
In fact,
60s.
that was probably even worse then than it is now. I'll tell you an example. When West Ham will be playing
in the
Spurs,
60s?
Late 60s, yeah. When West Ham will be playing Spurs, right? The gangs or the firms would make contact with each other before the match and arrange to meet somewhere before the game at a park or something, and there'd be an almighty ruck, all prearranged, because there was kind of a league table of fights. Who's the top of the fighting table? And West Ham boys thought they were tough. Spurs weren't too far behind either, but that doesn't go on as much now. So that's one thing that has. And then the behaviour on the pitch was good as well. Like you saw the likes of remember in the Liverpool versus Leeds, Johnny Giles flattened Kevin Keegan with a punch. You don't see that on the pitch too much now, you know.
No.
So from that point of view, it's probably not as rough as it used to be, you know. Mind you, tackles were let go an awful lot more in those days. The goalkeepers are now a protected species. In the old days, you could barge them into the net and not a word was said about it.
Do you feel jealous, Colin, that Philip saw probably the best of football where we probably saw the more corporate side of football?
I mean, in a way, yes. But I mean, I've been quite fortunate, you know, 'cause I'm a Yorkshire lad. I've gone and have season tickets at Doncaster Rovers, my local team. I've had the season ticket for many, many years, you know, from conference all the way up to championship and back down again. So, but I mean, I've got so many fond memories of playing at Bellevue, you know, standard terraces. There were no seats, all standard terrace on a cold, wet, windy Saturday in the middle of December. You know, all fans huddled together and whatnot. Half time had come. There's a little like snack area. It's not even like what it is now in concourse or anything. It's just like a little cubby hole that somebody's working in. You got Portaloos just behind that as well. So I'm quite fortunate because I experienced all that side of the things as well. But it's completely different to what it's like now because obviously we play at a completely different stadium, and it's just so commercialized now. It just feels so strange.
I always say, Philip, the 80s for me was the best time. I remember going to a reserve game, Tottenham against Arsenal in St Albans, and the likes of Ozzy Ardiles was playing and Graham Roberts. It was like, I think the 84, 85 season, or before the 84 anyway, I can't remember. And I remember saying something, I yelled out something, "You gonna scum," or something like that. I was only about 7 or 8 at the time, or 9.
Oh, I love it.
And my dad gave me the biggest rollicking ever. You could have started a football right, because then it was hooliganism was quite high. So I remember the first match we went to, and it was all standing. And at that time, I couldn't see the pitch, so all us little lads stayed at the front of the gate.
Yeah.
And some lad wanted to go to the toilet, and the fella behind him said, "There's a bucket in the corner." Right, so he went there to have his wee, and all the men just stood around this little lad going to the toilet.
Yeah.
No problems, no funny business, no nothing. And it was like for me, Philip, I don't know if you forgot. I don't know. It was like, especially in the terraces, it was one for all and one for all and one for. Do you know what I mean? It was like everyone was with each other.
Camaraderie. There's a camaraderie, but there still is up to a point. Yeah, there still is up to a point. But I think the removal of all the standing areas has taken away a lot of the atmosphere. You know, the shelf, when that was taken away, that took away an awful lot of atmosphere on the ground, you know. But listen, shall we move on? Sorry, Colin, what are you going to say there?
No, I was just going to say, yeah, the removal of standing terraces has definitely done it. Like I said, I remember, like, I was really young when I started going to watch Doncaster, and my uncle used to take me. He used to stand 3 or 4 rows back, and I'd be right at the front, literally right where the barrier is, standing there watching the game. I could literally touch the players if I reached out, and I was perfectly fine and safe. You know, stuff like that now doesn't happen. I remember a story, and you might like this. Doncaster actually played Arsenal in the Carabao Cup. I believe it was a quarter-final. We got beat. Very dodgy decision, but we got beat. And I remember Cesc Fabregas was playing. He was only young at that time, and the stadium was packed. And they got a throw-in right there where we were. And all I remember turning around and saying to him is, you're absolutely shite and not good enough to play against the League Two side. And he just ran the other way as quickly as he could because he was getting so much abuse.
You scared him off.
Can I just ask you one
Love it.
question, Philip? And you're the best man to answer this, I think. You've been there for standing and sitting, right? Seats and standing. That we all know why all seated stadia came in because of Hillsborough, and I think rightly so. I think in some ways as well. And then we had ISIL as well. Okay, so the safety's right. I can understand it. Safety's standings now starting to come back into stadiums. There's Tottenham South Stand and other stadiums.
Small areas, Areas.
Would you support a return to the terraces full time everywhere?
No, I wouldn't. I think it's better for safety reasons more than anything. And I think people have got used to their comforts a bit now as well. Like you people that started going to football since the terrace was abolished, right? They'd be horrified in the fact they have to stand up for 90 minutes. So, the good thing about that secured standing that they have at Tottenham, if you want to, you can sit down. You've got a seat. You'd be a fool if you did sit down, but you've got a seat in front of you.
Tell me about it. I had to sit down at that AC Milan game because my back, I couldn't stand up for the whole 90 minutes because I got a damaged back.
We weren't supposed to be standing up either up in that part of the ground. But anyway, no, I don't think I couldn't even come back.
No, and I had to keep sitting down sort of every half an hour. I tried. And I couldn't see the game, so I had to fucking stand up. And this fella behind me, right, he was standing on the seat. Because he couldn't see over you and me, so he was standing on the seat. It was so funny. Sorry, Philip.
Anyway, we'll just read these few comments out of here now. Then we'll get on with the rest of the games. Neil Shafton saying, "I'm jealous because I'm a Los Angelino. I got to see the greats when they came over here and played in the retirement league of the NASL. Yeah, that was when the old players went to pasture out to the USA. All right. And lucky for me, we were a big hockey family, so that regardless, because most people here couldn't give a shit about the NHL." I can't stand the big three, but that might be due to my upbringing. Fair dues. And this is one from Robert Ingram. Franny Lee versus Norman Hunter on the pitch. Yeah, that was a bust up. Yeah. I think Man City versus Leeds. Norman was a tough guy. So was Franny Lee. Now,
we haven't seen Robert Ingram before, Philip. So big up. Please hit that.
Oh, yeah, it's a new name. It's a new name, yeah.
Yeah, big up.
Thanks, Robert, for posting. And Neil Shafton is saying baseball, stroke basketball, stroke NFL, big three. Yeah. I'd say football, soccer as they call it, is coming a close fourth there. Although hockey might be another thing, that ice hockey. That's a game where they really do kill each other.
That's a question for you, Philip. Out of them three, what would you watch?
I was taught the rules of baseball once, but I've forgotten them. I watch a bit of NFL, but not a lot. It's too slow moving for me. It's too slow moving.
I watched it then.
I'm not really a basketball fan.
No, I'm not. I enjoyed the NFL last year, and I can't wait for it to come back this year. I'm sort of become a bit of a fan of the NFL.
Yeah. No, I'd watch it. It's very technical, though. All these different moves that they're having. Right. Anyway, we move on with the next few games. Dermot, we see we've done that one, and there we go. Now, the first one we have is Fulham 0, Brentford 3. Now, we saw from the previous week that Brentford are a handy enough little side. That Bueno, the fellow with his head on upside down, and Vista, isn't it? They're a decent enough strike force. But funny, I thought Fulham would do better than that. I thought Fulham had more, bought okay this summer, and I was surprised at that result. 3-0. What do you reckon? I'll go to you first on this one, Colin.
Yeah, it was quite a surprising result, but we've seen Brentford turn up plenty of times before. The Brentford are a very, very good side, managed by a very, very good coach.
True, yeah.
3-0. I mean, I didn't watch the game. I've seen the highlights of the game, but it looked like Brentford fully deserved the victory and the scoreline, because they were just a different level to what Fulham had. Now, whether that's to do with this whole Mitrovic thing that Fulham are worrying about, obviously he's gone now, so hopefully that'll solve itself. But yeah, very, very good game. Yeah.
Dermot, did you see any of that match?
I did, Philip. Look, look, we all know what Brentford could do. We know Brentford, as you say, are a handy side, but I was really shocked how bad Fulham were. It really surprised me because I thought that was going to end up as a draw. I did not thought either team would win. I was shocked how bad Fulham were. They were absolutely awful. And
let's hope they're as bad next week.
Yeah,
we
that's
play
true.
them.
I hope so. But look, for me, Brentford are a very well organised, very well drilled team under Thomas Frank. But Fulham, for me, I fear for Fulham. I really do. They need a couple of defenders and they do need a striker.
Did you fear for them more if Eric Dyer joined them?
If Eric Dyer joined them, I would laugh my ass off if Eric Dyer got relegated. That would make my day. But no disrespect to any Fulham fans watching.
Yeah.
But no, look, for me, I was shocked with that, Philip, and I like Fulham. I think Fulham are a nice little club.
Nice little club,
For me, I thought that'd be a draw, but fair play to Brentford. Played very, very well and deserved their win.
Yeah. And the next one, this is probably the team that's surprising a lot of people. Not surprising, but they scored 4 goals in both their matches now, is Brighton. Another brilliant win of the weekend over Wolves. Wolves are a team I think will struggle this season. I think the lack of investment and have lost a lot of players will struggle. Now, Dermot, did you? My biggest takeaway from this was I think the scoreline was a bit flattering to Brighton from what I saw. Wolves peppered their goal with shots, but just couldn't score, and Brighton went away and scored with nearly all their chances.
Look, for me, look, Brighton are the surprise package of the season, Philip. They really are top of the league, 6 points, 2 wins. Look, Wolves. I thought Wolves played well in the second half against Manchester United. And they didn't play too badly against Brighton, to be fair. As you say,
defensively let them down. Defensively, let them down badly.
I think they've had enough. I think they've had enough of upheaval with the manager leaving for the start of the season. But I think Wolves will be okay. Actually, I think they get over this. But Brighton, they're a joy to watch. I love watching Brighton play. I really do. I think they're very easy in the eye, and a lot of people thought Brighton would struggle when Harry Potter left, and I think Brighton have actually gone up another gear. So for me, Brighton for me, Philip, very quickly, and then I know you want to get the column, but Brighton for me are going to be my dark horses for a Champions League place.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue with that because I think what they've done is the business model is absolutely superb. Buy a player for 5 million and sell them on for 115 million 2 years later. You can't do better than that. But Colin, you saw Wolves play against United last week. Were you surprised that Brighton turned them over at such a surprisingly easily going on the scoreline?
In all fairness, no, I wasn't surprised. I mean, Wolves played very, very well against United, but I knew for a fact that this Brighton team is better than United anyway. So I wasn't too shocked about the result. You know, Mitoma, I think he's a quality player. You know,
fantastic goal. Fantastic goal.
I still don't understand how he's still there. I'm surprised one of the big teams aren't coming for him because he's fantastic. And then it was Solly Marsh as well. He were on score sheet. You know, they've got a fantastic team. The thing I love about them is they're not bothered. They can get rid of Casados and McAllister's because they've got people ready to come in that are just as good or better. I mean, Wolves, I've got to agree with Dermo. I think Wolves will be fine, but Wolves need a striker. They need a goal scorer because that's their biggest problem. If Wolves had a goal scorer against United, Wolves would have won. 100%.
Yeah.
They would have won. Yeah. But I know, obviously, Wolves are in a little bit of a financial situation themselves. So it's a little bit hard times for them at the minute.
Yeah.
Can I just add to that, Philip, just very quickly about the Wolves-Brighton thing? Look, for me, Brighton have been ahead of the curve here with the model they were using to buy players and get players in. Now, they're 2 or 3 years ahead of everyone else. So I can see this being a really good season for Brighton. And I love their Japanese player. I forget what his name is. Mitoma. I'd love him at Tottenham. I would absolutely.
He scored the goal of the season so far on Saturday there.
Yeah,
beat about 4 players on the way in. Brilliant.
He really did. But no, fair play to Brighton. You have to put your hands up to them. They're 2 or 3 years ahead of the Premier League with this data analysis thing. So fair play to them, and they're a joy to watch.
Oh, no,
they're
absolutely.
a dark horse for the Champions League.
I wouldn't disagree with you. Now, one of their ex-players got into a bit of bother at the next match, Liverpool versus Bournemouth. I watched the first 5 minutes of that game, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Bournemouth had the ball in the Liverpool net twice. Now, the first one was disallowed it was offside now, in all fairness. But under the old rules, it probably would have been allowed. And then they scored again to put themselves 1-up. But I think after that, Liverpool battered them, really, to be honest with you. And Liverpool fully deserved the win. But I think the talking point there was the sending off of McAllister. Now, I don't know if you saw that. To me, that wasn't a red card. It was a yellow card at most. And I believe Liverpool are going to appeal the decision. Did you see that one, Colin? Did you see that tackle he made on him?
I did, yeah. Obviously, it were a late one. But yeah, you're right. Not a red card at all. Most it should have been was a yellow. I mean, when you look at the game, when Bournemouth scored, I was cheering. Obviously, with my Man United connections, I don't want to see Liverpool win. But after that goal went in, Liverpool just decided to step up a gear. And then when they went down to 10 men, they seemed to find another gear. And Bournemouth just couldn't cope with them then at all. I mean, that new midfielder they've got, is it Sabazlai or something?
Yeah. I want to say something about him, though. He got off on the wrong foot with me on Saturday. You can see the tackle he went down for the penalty. It was even softer than the one Brentford got against us last week. I mean, it was such a tiny little ankle tap. He went down like he'd been hit by a tank. And the referee should have taken that into consideration, but they still gave the penalty, So, did you see that, Dermot? Did you see that tackle?
I did. Look, for me, again, it was yellow card. I agree with you, Philip. I mean, again, it's VAR and the referee getting it wrong. Or being influenced by, I think, by managers or players jumping up from the touchline and shouting, and players going around, keep doing this to the referee. Come on, where's the red card? Where's the red card? Which I'm seeing an awful lot of at the moment. I hope they do win their appeal. But look, for me, Liverpool's Liverpool. When I saw that Bournemouth scored, and I was like Colin, I was thinking deep down, come on, Bournemouth, beat Liverpool. But we all know Liverpool are a class act. We all know, and as much as we criticise Klopp and the Liverpool players, Philip, they are going to grind out results. True. But it's like Kev Williams says here, Philip. I can see Liverpool struggling this season. They look vulnerable, and they did look vulnerable in defence. I don't know what it is.
Even they don't. I think they've. I don't know if they've forgotten how to defend. I think Van Dijk is the only decent defender they have. I think, really. Liverpool will always score more than they let in. That's the thing, though.
See, I have an issue with Van Dijk. I don't think Van Dijk's as good as what he was last season or season before, and that's got nothing to do with his talent, because he's a fantastic defender, but he's getting on that age now as well, where he's coming to the end of his career. His height is a factor. When people of his height do get older, they're not able to burst at speeds. They pick up injuries a lot more because of the bone density and everything like that. So I mean, he's a fantastic player, but they need to find a replacement for him soon, because I think he's for instance, your team, Spurs. Against Spurs, I think he'll be the weak link.
Right, okay. Hopefully. We're playing them fairly soon anyway, so we'll soon find out.
Yeah, Philip, just very quickly, do you think the big six are changing in the Premier League? Do you think there's a change in the big six?
I'd say it's probably the big seven now. Newcastle, I'm not going to put Brighton or Villa into that category yet, because they're one-season wonders at this stage, and then they may well go on to be more consistently high up the league. But I think Newcastle are the one that have gate crashed it at the moment, and that's because of the money that's behind them. But it's. I think the league is going to be like half and half, really, a half eventually, but maybe 9 against 11, bottom 11 against the top 9. And if things keep going the way they are at the moment.
There's a couple of there, Philip, if you want to read them out from Neil Shafton. He makes very good points on both of them, actually.
Yeah, knee issues. That's the Van Dijk he's talking about there, I think, isn't it? Yeah. And also, Neil again, Trent Alexander-Arnold is also a defensive liability, regardless of how good he is with passing. Yeah, he always struck me as more of a midfielder than a defender, you know. And he likes to play further up the pitch, so he will be a liability. A good team should be able to get behind him and really cause him problems, you know. But anyway, that's Liverpool. Now, we will not mention this game too much. We've already discussed this, and we don't want to put Colin into any worse humour than we have
Come
to. You know?
on, you Spurs. Come on, you Spurs.
But there was a game played on Saturday evening at 5:30 in front of 61,900 people. And when the result was Tottenham 2, Manchester United 0.
No, Philip, no, it's Tottenham 2. That team from up the road from Manchester 0. I don't think Colin would actually call them.
I know. Well, okay, the team that should not be named then. Okay, I thought that was only Arsenal, but I think we've discussed this one fairly heavily in previous programs. Suffice to say, United won the first 30 minutes, I think, and Spurs won the next 60. That's probably the best way of putting it. And good win for Spurs. United have a bit of work to do at the back, I think, defensively. I mean, I think going forward, United should not have problems. You've got players there that can score goals, but they just don't seem to be clicking at the minute. What would you say to that, Colin?
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. We have got players that can score goals. The issue is Rashford only does it off the left. He doesn't do it through the middle. We don't have a striker, so he has to go through in the middle. Anthony, I love Anthony to bits, but he's getting on my last nerves. Garnacho's only young, so I can't put much pressure on him. Sancho looked lively when he came on, but we were beaten by a team that was just far better than us, And I just want to say one thing before Dermo has his say. If you remember, I did that little scout report on Vicario, and obviously you've seen the numbers I gave him. He did absolutely everything that I would expect from a goalkeeper against Manchester United. He did absolutely everything perfectly.
Yeah, and yet there's still Spurs fans not convinced by him. They're still saying we should have bought Raya. Dermot, your last comment on the Spurs game, and keep it reasonable now. Keep it reasonable.
I'm actually not going to talk too much about Tottenham because I think we've talked to them to death, really, and how great they were. There's totally so much ribbon I can give Colin over it, to be fair. So I'm going to be sensible, and I'm going to go easy on him. I know he's having a tough time at United at the moment and with other things. So I'm going to go easy on you, Colin. Right. I think your biggest problem at United is the players you have I'm not proud to wear the United shirt. They're not like a Roy Keane or a Vidic or Brian Robson or a Peter Schmeichel or an Eric Cantona or players like that from the past and even from the last few years, like under Mourinho or under Louis van Gaal, and even some players under Ten Hag. Your majority of, I don't know if you agree, Colin, but I can see from the outside in that they don't seem to be proud to wear the United shirt of players of the past. And I think there's something missing at United. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's something Fergie brought to the club or if it's something that's been there. But it's like I said on Dave's show tonight, Tottenham have reconnected with our soul, with our DNA. Bill Nick would be looking down with Arthur Rhodes smiling, saying we have our Tottenham back. Matt Busby and the founding members of United are looking down at Old Trafford tonight, crying. Would you agree with that the players don't care about the shirt anymore, not like the players of the past? And I thought that about the team on Saturday, Colin, Fernandes and all these petulant moaning after the game. Would you agree with that or not? I'm trying to be serious. It's a serious point that I actually thought of when I was watching the game.
No, yeah. I mean, I could probably name a player. I mean, I think Marcus Rashford plays for the shirt. He plays for the badge. But, he's a Manchester boy anyway. He's Manchester United through and through. But you're right. We don't have a lot of players with that heart and that spirit of, the Rio Ferdinands and Roy Keanes, Nicky Butts. all these kind of players. There's nobody like that in the United squad, and maybe that is a hindrance. But I think we forget a lot of the times. The way I look at it now, anyway, is footballers are just mercenaries. All they care about is the paycheck. That's all they want, and that's what they'll do. They'll just go to a team that's going to offer them the most money.
Yeah.
But you look at that, Philip, though. You look back like a Graham Roberts or a Gary Mabbott or Danny Blanchard or Jimmy Greaves, and you look at United and you look at the players of the 92 that all come up together. You look at a Brian Robson or a Gary Pallister. Do you feel footballers now, Philip, from when you start watching to now, that they are mercenaries and the money's just ruined the game for?
Yeah, I've been saying that for ages. It's the agents are ruining the game because they're directing the players to go to teams that pay the most money, whether or not that team suits their style of football or their ambitions. It's money, 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 and that is what's playing. You get a player that comes through the ranks, right? And there's a bit of loyalty to the club. I used Harry Kane as an example. Harry Kane fit for 19 years at Tottenham. That's the sort of loyalty is very, very rare in football at the moment. You get players that move on after a couple of seasons, move on somewhere else. Like journeymen walking their way around the league, picking up contracts, short-term contracts, and picking up big bucks. And that's what is their goal, not so much the glory of the badge they're playing for, which is a shame. It's not completely gone, but it's on the way out. There's a lot less players now. I know players will always kiss the badge when they score, but that's only a show for the gallery, really. Yeah, it really is. It's not serious.
And look at Neil Shafter makes a good point here, Philip. The 92, all those players came up together.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's a good. That was probably the last great United team.
100%. I mean, you just said there, obviously, players kiss the badge and everything. Like, the thing that opened my eyes to players being mercenaries, I mean, I'm going back a few years, but it's not like proper past. Carlos Tevez, he came on for United, he signed for United, scored goals, kissed the badge. As soon as he went to Manchester City, because he offered him more money, he scored the first goal. First thing he did was kiss the badge.
Kiss the badge, yeah, that's true. And that's a killer to the fans of the team he just left. Absolute killer.
Yeah.
But anyway, listen, we move on to the last game on the Saturday, which was a 8 o'clock. Unusual 8 o'clock kickoff for a Saturday night. Must be a new way they're going to do it.
Do you want to answer this one for Neil Shafton, or do you want to leave this to later? Because
leave that one till later, actually. Just
I'll start that one
later. Yeah.
Okay.
Now the Man City game. I watched this match now, and I have to say I was very unimpressed with Manchester City. I thought they were lethargic. Haaland virtually didn't get a kick. Newcastle were in spots for about 20 minutes in the second half. They put it up to Man City without ever looking really threatening. And they were lucky that your man Anthony Gordon was still on the pitch, because he should have been sent off, in my opinion. But I just think City are slow burners. It's always a good time to play City at the start of the season. We did it 2 seasons ago. We beat them. We played them in August. First game of the season 2 seasons ago. We beat them with a sunny goal. A good time to play City, and they're without De Bruyne now for 3 or 4 months. So, Colin, what do you reckon? Do you reckon your big rivals down there mightn't just have it as everyone thinks they're going to have this season?
I don't think City will dominate this season at all. They've not been impressive in any of the games that I've seen. They have not been impressive at all. Haaland looks like he's still getting his factory update settings sorted. Alvarez is Alvarez is a great player. Alvarez, he scored the goal, didn't he? Great strike as well. But I think it's the fact that De Bruyne is now going to be out until middle of December, January time. I think he's one that pulls the strings for everything. And it seems to be he's not playing. So Manchester City have no creativity whatsoever. I mean, let's face it, last season in this game, you'd expect City to win 3-4-1 maybe, but I had this game down as a draw, because I don't think City are as strong as what they were last season.
I think too they also mentioned the stat. I don't think Newcastle have won at Manchester City since the 80s. It goes that far back. It's a massive number of games, But Dermot, Colin's right. They said Phil Foden. Sorry, De Bruyne has now gone for 3 months. But from what I saw, Phil Foden seems to be stepping up, take the mantle, because he had a fantastic match. He was by way and away the best player on the pitch on Saturday night. So do you reckon he can pick up where De Bruyne has left off?
He can. Foden's a very, very good player. He's a world-class player, in my opinion. So I think he can pick up from KDB. Look, for me, Man City, you're right, Philip, there are slow burners. But I just feel, I think during the treble last year, I think it might have taken something out of them. Now,
the edge off them.
Something the edge off them. Now, United did the treble back in '99 and they won the league the following year. I don't think this City, this City side will win something this year. They may win another Champions League. But I just don't think they might. I don't think they're going to be. They may win the league, but they won't win it at a canter like they did last season.
I'm just hoping it's not Arsenal that are pushing them.
No, I hope not. But that is the worry. But for me, look, Newcastle are going to be thereabout. But Newcastle are fighting for Champions League. They're not fighting for a league. They may fight for a cup win. But look, you go to Manchester City and you hopefully get out there with a point. That's what your aim is. But look, I didn't see much of the game, but for me, not surprised with the result, but I'm surprised by the scoreline.
Yeah. I think Newcastle are going to suffer this season from the extra matches. They're not used to playing in European football. Playing on a Sunday, Thursday, and Sunday, Wednesday, and Sunday again. It's not going to be easy for them. So I think they may struggle. Now, that's unless they bring back a whole load of players on loan from Saudi over the next couple of weeks, which is eminently possible. So that's
which they could do, yeah.
They could well do that. Now, we'll just deal with Neil Shafton's comment here about the academy.
I just wanted to go on, Philip, sorry. No, go on.
It's a failure of academies, but it's also the failure of the franchise to instill that type of pride and loyalty. Yeah, well, that's true. That's true. Man City, though, they brought a couple, like Phil Foden came through the Man City academy. And so did there's a couple of other Cole, what's his name? Cole
Palmer.
His surname, yeah. Cole Palmer did the same. There's a few that've done it. So it's players like that should have loyalty. But it's the likes of the Carlos Teveses of this world that bring it all back down to earth with a bang. So I'm afraid that's, I always be on for loyalty, but it doesn't always.
I agree. I agree with Neil Shafton here, Philip. I think it's down to the academies to instill that club traditions of what the club's about. Bill Nick did it in the 60s, 50s, and 60s and 70s with the Spurs team, like Steve Perryman. Keith Birkinshaw was another one as well. You play for Tottenham, but you're not playing for yourself. You're playing for the fans. You're playing for the club. And I think that even Fergie was a big one that at United. Colin would tell us that. I mean, Fergie was very big on that, wasn't he, Colin? Installing that pride and that loyalty and that tradition of playing for Manchester United, like we had at Tottenham.
Yeah, he really was. He was a case of you don't play for you play for the badge that's on your chest, and you play for every single fan that's paid to come and see you, because it was basically you worked for them. You worked for the fans because that's who pays your wages. But I mean, it's a massive fault in academies. Now, from experience, you do get it taught into you. You get it drilled into you. The history, you get it drilled into you. You get told daily, weekly, monthly. You're playing for this club. You play for this club. You play for the badge. That's what you do. But you can only guide them there. You can't make them do that. You can only guide them to that direction. It's then down to the player themselves to choose whether they're going to do that or not.
Yeah.
I want to say big up to the disabled team as well, Philip. He's popped in.
Yeah.
And also,
they played on Monday, didn't they, says Neil? And then the disabled team is saying, good evening, Philip, FDSN, Colin and Dermot. How are you, disabled team? And Neil again is coming up with 2-game week for City. Yeah, there will be 2 games a week from now at the end of the season, basically. Now, we'll just finish the rest of these comments and we'll get on to the Sunday games.
Yeah. Big up, Hot God
Hot
10.
God 10 is saying, good evening, Dermot, Philip, Colin. How are you, James? Go back from the South End, I hope. And Neil Shafton, KDB is City's keen. Yeah, I suppose different type of player, but eminently missable from the team. I mean, he's really going to be badly missed over the next few months. And Neil is saying, when Pep's system kicks in, it's going to be rough sledding for many teams. Yeah, well, I mean, once City play to their best, I mean, there's very few teams can live with them. I mean, it's just the way it is. The money talks, and those players are past masters at grinding teams down. So, yeah, but it might take a while. Let's hope they have a few poor games in before that actually gets going, you know. So I think we'll just move on to the 2 Sunday games now, briefly, Dermot, if you can bring them up there.
Okay, yeah. So bring that there. This is the 2 Sunday games here.
Yeah, Aston Villa 4, Everton 0. I mean, I said before the season, I thought Everton would struggle. I'm now going to revise that. I think they're going to go down. I think they've played 2 matches now. I don't think they've scored a goal yet. I think they've lost 1-0 to Fulham, and they've lost 4-0 to Villa, and they were absolutely hammered. They were played off the pitch. They were lucky to get away with 0. They were that bad. Colin, did you see that match, or did you see any of it?
Yeah, I caught bits of that match. I mean, Villa tore them apart. I'm quite surprised it ended 4-0 because, my personal opinion, Villa's defence isn't the greatest either. I would have thought if Everton were going to score, it would be in this game, because I've seen Villa's pre-season games and the game last week. They looked a bit shaky at the back, especially now with Mings being injured as well.
Yeah. But they brought on Pau Torres, didn't they? They brought on the new signing.
Yeah, they did. But I mean, I fear for Everton this season. I really do.
Yeah. Dermot, you feel the same?
Yeah, I do. I mean, their motto means nothing but the best is good enough. I mean, they're really not playing. They're not really playing for their motto, are they? Look, Everton should have went down last season. Should have went down the season before.
Yeah,
I think Everton will go down.
Third time unlucky.
Yeah,
and they lost Calvert-Lewin as well, injured again yesterday.
Yeah,
off with a facial injury.
He was, and look, Villa for me were nothing special. Column's right. The defense was very shaky. It's just Everton are so bad, and I think it's going to take them to go down for them to shake them to them to get anywhere, shape or form back to what they're. And they've got this new stadium as well, Philip.
I know it's going to cost them. Yeah,
we could see Everton go out of business or go into administration, and that is the worrying thing about this.
Well, their owners are not exactly the most financially prudent people as been proved in the past. I mean, it's bad when your board of directors is warned not to go to the match because the fans might attack you. What happened last season? So I think Everton are in big trouble this season. But one instance in that game I want to highlight. It was very similar to the Onana situation for United against Wolves the previous Monday. Jordan Pickford went for the ball and made minimal contact with the Villa player, but the referee gave a penalty. Now, it wasn't nearly as clear-cut as the one before. And again, it just shows you the inconsistencies of the people doing VAR. Everyone has a different interpretation of what's a penalty, what isn't a penalty, and whatever. And I felt Everton were hard done by, because I don't think that was a penalty. Anyone else see that bit? I just caught it in the highlights.
Yeah.
Yeah. Onana's were a lot worse than what that was. From what I know, it is being looked at again by the FA, and those officials may also be stepped down for a week.
Oh, right, okay. But that's the way to do it. It might make them better officials the next time around. Because I'm sure what they should do is, if it happens to you 3 times in a season, you're off the list altogether. That would be one way of keeping the referees on their toes, and VAR officials, But anyway, it's a good win for Villa. I mean, that's 2 out of 2. Not 2 out of 2. They got hammered by Newcastle the previous week. So the goal difference is now 0 after 2 matches. 5-1 defeat and a 4-0 win. And the next game this is the one that the surprising result of the weekend, to be honest with you. I did not think Chelsea would lose at West Ham, but they did. Lost quite heavily. And West Ham were very good value for it. Dermot, did you see that game?
I saw bits of it, Philip, and I was glad to see Barney the dinosaur and Dino the dinosaur safely at the West Ham. They did. They found them on the Chelsea coach drinking Pochettino's alcohol, and they come stumbling.
The first coach, second coach, or third coach?
Well, they went through about 20 coaches, right? Turned up at West
Chelsea
Ham.
That many players. It takes 3 coaches to bring the team with them. You know.
It does. So, but they are safe and well. They're recovering in the West Ham pitch at the moment, suffering very bad hangovers, and so they will be grand. Look, for me, I do you know what? When that result came up, I wasn't shocked. I wasn't like, oh my God, West Ham have beat Chelsea. It was like Chelsea have gone back to how they were playing last season. Yeah. It seems, I don't know what it is. Chelsea, this is another club, Philip, for me, has lost its soul. Chelsea's forgotten what it...
Did it ever have one?
No, but the point I'm trying to make is there's a few of the clubs, but Chelsea's one of them. They've forgotten what it is to be Chelsea Football Club. Do you know what I mean? It's very much, they keep buying players after players after players. The manager comes in, you could have the Pope, you could have Moses and the 12 apostles there, and they still wouldn't know what side to pick because it's coming from the owner. And he's telling Pochettino, I want that, I want that, I want him in. And Chelsea Chelsea are not going to qualify for Europe this season. I know that's a bold statement to make. They probably might scrape into the Conference League or something like that. But Chelsea will not be nowhere near the Champions League this season. I'm telling you that now. I don't think they're good enough, and a Pochettino will be sacked by December. That's my opinion.
Colin, so, what do you reckon? Same thing? Do you reckon the same? Yeah, fair play to West Ham.
Yeah, pretty much. I think when we did that show a couple of weeks ago, I said Poch, I think he's going to be one of the first ones to go by December. I mean, 3 points. They had, what were it, £150 million player missed a penalty, and then another £100 million player gave away a penalty.
Yeah,
right. It shows you money can't really buy you success if you don't know what you're doing with it. I mean, fair play to West Ham, 100% fair play to West Ham. I weren't expecting them to beat Chelsea, if I'm going to be honest, but they went out there and showed exactly what a football team with a manager that knows what he's doing is capable of.
Yeah, true. Now, Dermot, we'll just move briefly on to tonight's match. We're not going to talk about it because none of us really
Can I ask you a very quick question about Chelsea, Philip? Do you think Chelsea, as a club that were under Abramovich, are now bust? Do you know that bubble's now gone? That Chelsea could go back to where they were before Abramovich came in?
No, not if they keep spending money the way they're at. Like in my mind, Chelsea Football Club ceased to be Chelsea Football Club in 2003, whenever Abramovich took over.
Yeah,
there was a team in there up to that. There hasn't been a team in Chelsea since then. There's been an entity that called Chelsea Football Club, but I remember talking to a guy, youngest Chelsea fan, and I said, I bet you'd love to have a striker like Peter Osgood playing for you. He didn't know who Peter Osgood was. Now, that's like a Manchester United fan saying, I don't know who Bobby Charlton was, or I don't know who George Best was. That shows you the type of fans they've got. Plastic fans who jumped on the bandwagon of a successful club. And long may they suffer for that thing like that. We know what the fans are like when they come to our ground, Dermot, the disgusting noises they make and the chants about the Auschwitz and stuff like that. Yeah, that's Chelsea. That's Chelsea nowadays. It's disgusting.
It is. So we've had it. We've had it as well. Look, I don't agree, but it can go on and on, Philip. But here you go. Here we go. This is the Monday night game, and I haven't seen this game at all, so I can't really.
I wouldn't watch it.
No
penalty by Odegaard, and apparently from comments, Arsenal were a little bit fortunate to get away with it. They played the last 25 minutes with 10 men after Tomiyasu was sent off. I think the most notable thing about tonight was you need to wear sunglasses watching Arsenal's kit. Anyway, and Dermot, you have the league table there, I think.
I don't. I did it all.
I see.
I didn't save it properly, and I've lost it. So I do apologize.
Brighton or top.
Brighton or top. Now, Philip, we just want to go through some of these comments here. Neil Shafton says it was very exciting. It wasn't very exciting. Palace got robbed. I've got a few comments here, Philip, that I start. Now, one of them was Hod gone. Ange has won the players, the fans, and the media. He gets it.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that, Philip?
Yeah, I do. I don't see how anybody could not agree with him. To be honest with you, I think he's got it. I have never heard the Spurs fans singing a manager's name, the new manager's name after one match, and they were doing that yesterday on Saturday. So yeah, absolutely. And this one here, reports coming in that we are working on an Orban deal and Hugo deal to Lazio. I think the Lazio one is dead in the water. If I'm not surprised that Hugo's turned it down, isn't that correct, Dermot?
Yeah, what I'm hearing, it could be, but look, deals can be can be brought back to life again, Philip. Tantanga to Luton or Fulham. I'm going to ask the question. So, Liam, if you want to join me for Newsbeat tomorrow, as I'm doing a solo Newsbeat, because Philip's off to play his drums like Roger Taylor and Phil Collins. He does them impressions on the Tuesday night. Very well played, though. And Hodgod can verify how good he is on the drums. I'll give you an answer tomorrow, but alas, my source tonight. But big up Lee, and he came in early as well, Philip. And and Robert says here, look, something's rotten at Chelsea. Do you think that, Philip?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think there's so many players in Chelsea now. I'd love to know the number of actual first team players they've got now. It must be getting up on 40. They cannot. There has to be something wrong. Only 16 of them can actually play in the match. What's the rest going to do? Go take an allotment and go and plant tomatoes or something? You know, I mean, they're going to have to loan them out, or there's bound to be unrest. Bound to be. You know.
There you go, Philip. That's you.
Larry Mullen. Oh no, it couldn't be that. No. Colin, what do you reckon? Do you think, you know, from your insight into things, is all rosy in the garden at Chelsea, or are they heading for a very traumatic season with so many players trying to keep them happy?
Yeah, you cannot keep that amount of players happy. It's impossible because every player wants to play football. Every single one of them. Now, if you look at it ahead of their season, then Chelsea 100% need Champions League football this season.
Yeah.
They need to qualify this season. Otherwise, they are in massive trouble with FFP. They should be already. Yeah. They should be in trouble already, but they'll be in even worse next season with FFP if they don't get secure Champions League football.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I think we're just coming. We're in an hour and 10 minutes. We're just going to have a few questions to ask you about various things that happened over the weekend. First of all, Dermot, who's your player of the week?
Do you know what? Everyone's probably going to say Basuma. I'm going to go for Papa Sarr. Okay. I thought he was my player of the week. I thought he was exceptional against United. And also that little player, the little Japanese player as well for Brighton. I have to give it to them jointly. Yeah, I thought they were both excellent there the weekend. So I'm giving it as a joint player of my player of the week, them two.
Okay. Colin?
Difficult one, that. So I'm gonna go out the box a little bit here. I'm gonna give it to Romero. That's what I'm gonna give it to. Yeah, because he I know obviously the other defenders helped and everything, but he pretty much single-handedly shut down any United attack. So yeah, I'll give it to him. I would have liked to give it to Sarr because he was my man of the match, but just going from his performance, I know Sarr scored, but from his performance defensively, I'll give it to him.
Yeah, I'm going to give it to Basuma, but I want to read out something that Gary Neville's after saying on Monday Night Football tonight. Now, this is the analysis by Matt Hayes. You know Matt Hayes? He says, such a lazy and flawed analysis by Gary Neville on Monday Night Football tonight, similar to what he was saying on Saturday, saying Pedro Porro categorically isn't good enough to play a system that he's only played in 2 competitive games in, is absolutely ridiculous. So then Gary Neville's having a pop at Spurs still, you know? But anyway.
Gary Neville, just go back to your football. Go back to your football. Hang on. I just want to bring this up very quickly, Philip. This is not Donald Trump. This is the new Gary Neville. There we go, Gary. Look at you there, Gary. Look at your hair.
I said it the other day, didn't I? I'm a United fan, but even I, take his comments like he's a toilet brush. He He is a confusing pundit. He really, really is, and he's got an extreme bias towards Man United as it is anyway. So
it is. There
you go.
Anyway,
now,
Philip,
team of the week. Team of the week.
Colin,
Colin, we'll go first for you on this one.
Is this like the best team, or
full team?
Do you want me to pick players?
Not individual players. No, just
right.
the team.
Just the team. I'd like to give it to Spurs, but unfortunately, I think you played against a very poor Manchester United side, so I won't give you that. I'm gonna go with Brighton.
Thomas?
Look, I would love to give it to Tottenham, but that'd be a bit biased, wouldn't it? You have to be, it's a Premier League thing. I've got two teams again, Philip. West Ham for beating Chelsea and Brighton. I just think them two games sum it up for me. But I'm going for Brighton anyway. I'll go for Brighton if I have to pick one.
I'm going to make it a hat trick. I'm going for Brighton with Spurs a close second, but Brighton definitely deserve it.
Do you think West Ham's in there as well, Philip?
No, I don't think so. No. I know they beat Chelsea and we're all delighted about that. But I think the overall performance was fluidity and easy on the eye. Brighton have it,
Yeah.
Now, next one. Player of the weekend.
Oh, was that sort of player of the week, isn't it?
We've kind of done that. Yeah, we can leave that one. It's the thing,
okay.
More or less. Wally's of the weekend. Well, there's only one winner of this. I'll go first on this. Chelsea. Has to be Chelsea.
I was going for Bruno Fernandes myself.
No, I put Wally's now, not just Wally. It's a plural.
I have to go Chelsea as well for that. Chelsea, definitely.
Yeah. Colin?
Well, I'm going to say Manchester United.
I'm just going here. Neil Shafton saying Brighton. Neil is saying Brighton lit up Wolves. Yeah, they did. They really did.
Yeah, they did.
Now,
ref watch.
This is Philip's favourite thing. Absolutely. We come up with this last week and we loved it so much it's staying. So Philip, ref watch.
No, nothing. It wasn't too bad this weekend, really. I know United probably should have had a penalty at Tottenham. Then again, so should Tottenham. So, what are you doing? All right.
This is your moment, Philip. This is ref watch.
No,
so you go on the big screen.
I think, and the referee that I criticised a lot last weekend, Rob Jones, at our game at Brentford, he had a good game up at in the Man City Newcastle game. He was a sensible referee. So I think probably the one, I can't even think of the name, the referee that sent off McAllister for Liverpool on Saturday, I think he gets the award for the worst decision of the week, which will probably be rescinded. But all in all, it probably wasn't too bad a weekend. I mean, I know you said, Colin, the guys at Villa Park might get not stood down for that penalty award to Everton, against Everton, but it wasn't as bad a weekend as last weekend, put it like that.
No, I don't think so. For me, I thought the referees were a bit more. I think they were common sense, Philip. I think of the word. I think it was a bit more common sense use this week. But look, for me, I think Man United, that was never a penalty. I think they got that right. The sending off for Liverpool should not have been a sending off, so that was a mistake. But I do think referees were a little bit more savvy in their decision making. So
I think they were on their guards. There's so many mistakes the first week. They were told to watch your P's and Q's, Colin, what do you reckon? Did anybody catch your eye that shouldn't have doing things they shouldn't have?
Oh, obviously the blatant one is obviously that McAllister sending off. I don't know where he got that from. And I think the red card in today's match, Tomiyasu, I think that was an error. If I'm going to be honest with you, I watched the game.
Right.
The first yellow card, time wasting. Theoretically, theoretically, it should have been Havertz that got the yellow card, not Tomiyasu. But Tommy got it, and then Jordan Ayew sold the referee a dream, and he ate it up because Tomiyasu didn't even touch him. If you actually watch the replays, Tomiyasu doesn't touch him. So, but you
There's
can't
actually
overturn a
appeal that
second
as
yellow.
well. Oh, that's right. It's only a straight red that can be appealed.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
I love this from Neil Shafton, by the way. With Charleston doing an impersonation of as fertilizer with the amount of time he was laying on the
well, fertilizer makes things grow, makes things happen. So maybe
we'll put this in, Robert. We will put this in next week. Actually, dive of the week. We will put that in next week.
The Liverpool guy for the penalty.
Yeah.
The Liverpool guy for the penalty.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Well, we will put this in next week, Philip, as a thing.
Oh yeah.
So we'll put there. Now,
what's
manager
the end of it now?
Yeah, manager watch.
I think we have to get this for sheer joy at his welcome is Ange Postecoglou. The welcome he got at the Spurs Stadium. It was incredible. It really was. It was like greeting the Messiah has arrived, and let's all start cheering him, and it was brilliant. So I give him bias here. I give it to Postecoglou. Colin?
Yeah, no, I'll give it to Postecoglou as well. He had a smile on his face. The players are smiling. He's got the team going right. Not Postecoglou.
I'll go for the hat trick. Postecoglou for me, but a lot of people in the chat are saying debrief the Brighton manager.
Brighton, yeah. That's right. Oh, yeah. No, we've just been biased on this one because it's the first time he's at our ground, and we'll give him that. He'll probably not win it too much other weeks.
And Hudgod said, Richarlison dives to make up for his first bad touch.
Poor old Ricky, he's getting an awful doing.
Yeah. Now, Philip, VAR cock-up of the week.
Right, okay.
I thought VAR had.
Oh no! Hang on, no. It technically can we still use last Monday night's game because that was last week. So it's Man United versus Wolves. Has to be.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, Man United versus Wolves. Now, sorry, Colin. What's your?
No. Yeah, I've got to agree.
Yeah. Actually, to see this last one, Dermot, I think we should leave that to an actual debate program.
Yeah,
because there's so much that can be said about this in the light of what's happening in the game.
Can I just say something? It's because it's from my country, and if I want to put up the flag of my country, I will do.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I'm entitled to put up. I'm quite entitled to put up the flag of my country. So that's what's with the Irish flag. It's my country. I'm proud of my Irish. I'm Irish, proud to be. So there you go. The Blue Baron. You go off. I suppose you're a Chelsea fan, so I hope you're still crying after West Ham sculpture. Anyway, there you go. Sorry, Philip.
Right, I think we should leave this into a later debate program because there's a lot of things going on at the minute over this particular subject. We could be here. I think at this stage it's late. We'll wait and do that on another night because there's a lot to be said there. And a lot will be coming out in the next few days that makes it worth a program of its own,
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's it now, lads. I think that's the thing. Good lively debate, the good lively chat about the games, and let's hope that next weekend brings a bit more excitement, less refereeing mistakes, plenty of goals, and no controversy. And that's it. So, Colin, just before we go, would you like to tell us where people can find you on your channel?
Yeah, thank you for having me on. You can find me over on Full Time Sports Network, where we cover all football. Well, we're trying to cover all sports, hence the name Full Time Sports. And you can also chat with me on Twitter, and my name is FTSN-Colm, as it is on the screen. But make sure you like and subscribe to this channel first.
Very good. Thank you, Colin. Yeah, it's always great. Colin's, it's great to have a fan of another team on to give us a bit of perspective, and he's very fair-minded in everything he says, and we really appreciate that. And Dermot, you'll be on your Todd tomorrow, will you? I'll be off doing other things.
I'm on at 4:00 with Newsbeat, and then Wednesday, Philip, is a pretty special day, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the 2nd anniversary of the channel, and we're having a bit of a party at 7:00. And we're going to show a live match, not a live match, or an old match. And what's the score at the minute, Dermot? Who's actually winning the poll? We have two matches up for discussion.
Well, the poll actually was one earlier, was the 1984 UEFA Cup final.
The one is okay. So the
so
second leg at White Hart Lane. We'll be showing that, the Tony Parks game. So that'll be being shown. And it's our second birthday, and we'll have a bit of crack, bit of fun watching that. And that's on Wednesday at 7.
I just want to say, Philip, while we're here on that, I want to thank you for everything you do with this channel, and also Ellie as well, who put work into the channel. Look, I revamped this over a year and a half ago. The channel wasn't going anywhere. I took a month out and I asked Philip and Ellie would they come on, and they both said yes. And between the three of us, we've really revamped the channel. We've gone through a lot of successes, and Ellie's left for Pastures News, as we know. But it's now me and Philip, and we're looking to take it to the next level now, aren't we, Philip? And Mia comes on and help. Colin pops on as well. And I'm very lucky for all the people that especially you, Philip and Colin and Mia and Swelly. So I want to say thank you to all of you for all your help and all your support and
it's a pleasure.
Everything you've done.
Really,
it means a lot. It really means a lot.
Yeah. And like we'll be you can watch out too for a new video regarding memberships coming out in the next day or so. And Neil Shafton, just before we go there, has got a super chat. Neil, that's absolutely brilliant of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And for the time and energy you guys are putting in, kudos, Sláinte. Neil, that's very much appreciated. Really is. You know, and all the way from Los Angeles to get that. It means a lot to us. Thank you very much.
And we enjoy it, don't we, Philip? We enjoy doing it.
Oh, yeah.
And
we enjoy it. I mean, let's face it. We take things seriously, but not that seriously.
No.
You know, we do have a bit of crack, and we spark off each other. And if I ever say anything to Dermot, don't worry. I don't mean it. I'm only slagging him. You know.
Yeah. No.
And vice versa, obviously.
Yeah. And look, if the pandemic was anything, and the pandemic was a hard time for a lot of people, to be fair, and families lost members and people passed away. And look, it was a difficult time for everyone. Was that I found Philip and Dave and the Irish Hotspur by chance. And it really was the pandemic. If anything was good to come out of it, Philip, was what we've got.
Oh, yeah, that's how I came across these channels during the pandemic, just for something to do and something to look around. I mean, probably if the pandemic hadn't been there 3 years ago now, God knows, half of these channels wouldn't be in existence. Yeah. So anyway,
also, I want to thank you as well, Colin, as well, for everything you've done for the channel and you doing what you do. So thank you so much as well.
You're great, lad.
No problem at all.
Really good.
Right, are we going to finish with Fred?
We're going to finish with Fred. And what Colin? I think we asked Colin earlier what Fred will do. Dermot, it's your turn now for Fred.
Me, right?
Yeah. You're Dermot, aren't you?
Yeah, I am.
I
think I am. I think I am. Well, I was adopted, so I'm known by my adopted name, but Dermot's my birth name. But I'm like flip the switch. What can this be now? This is Philip Brady as Tom Jones on the Wednesday night, running away from his loads of fans of 70-year-olds chucking their false teeth and knickers at him. Do you know how long I've been waiting to use that one?
Yeah, good long. Well, don't worry. Revenge will be swift and merciless. Don't worry.
I know. Just very quick from Neil Shafton. I found YouTube groups which I never even thought about good and bad COVID yet. And Hud God says, you're both brilliant, Dermot and Philip. I thoroughly enjoy your show. It's the channel. It's the go-to channel for me. Keep up the good work. Well, thank you so much,
thanks, James.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate that. Yeah, thank you very much.
And Robert says, cheers. Robert, come in again. We'd love to see you. Put some good comments in tonight, so please come in. Dermot, shut up. Hit the thing. Thank you. Go on, Philip, you close off. Yeah, shut up.
Well, I close off. Right. Okay, well, listen, but I hope it hit the right one now, because I have a habit of hitting
No, I'm doing it. You just speak. I hit the button. You say goodnight.
Oh, good night, everybody. And we now have what? Saturday morning, 12:30, Tottenham versus Bournemouth versus Tottenham. Dermot will stop laughing by then, hopefully. And all I can say is, as usual, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, in Ange we trust.
And yes, that as well.
And anything about United, Colin?
Glazers out.